The transport pod hit the surface of Kepler Station 9 with a bone-jarring crack, and John knew, even before the hatch hissed open, that he had been sent here to die. Dispatch confirms placement. The automated voice droned overhead. Designate, John. Sector, Quarantine Zone Theta. Survival probability, 3.2%. He almost laughed. 3.2%. High Command hadn't even bothered to round up. The colony ship Meridian's Hope had been drifting through this system for 6 years, its cargo hold packed with the last remnants of Earth's exiled population. When the beast signal had lit up their scanners, a creature classified only as Xenoform 7, an apex predator native to this rock, the Council hadn't sent their best soldiers. They'd sent the expendable ones. Convicts. Debtors. Men with no family to mourn them. Men like John. He stepped out onto the cracked obsidian plain, his rifle a useless weight on his back. Xenoform 7 was immune to conventional rounds. That much the briefing had made clear, right before it had cheerfully informed him that no prior team had returned. Well, John muttered to the empty horizon, guess I'm not walking away from this one. That was when he heard the roar. It came from behind a ridge of black rock, a sound so deep it seemed to vibrate in his teeth. John didn't run. There was nowhere to run to. Instead, he did the only thing that made sense to a man who had already accepted his own death. He walked toward it. The beast that rounded the ridge was larger than any creature he'd seen in the archive files. Easily 4 meters at the shoulder, its hide a mosaic of obsidian plates that shimmered faintly with bioluminescent veins. 6 eyes, arranged in a crown around a skull built like a battering ram, fixed on him with an intelligence that unsettled him more than any monster should. It should have charged. Every file said it would charge. Instead, it stopped. John didn't move either. He'd spent the last of his fear back on the ship, watching the stars blur past the viewport, and what remained in its place was something quieter. Not bravery, exactly. Just an absence of anything left to lose. You're not what they said you were, he said quietly, more to himself than to the beast. Or maybe I'm not what they think I am. The creature tilted its massive head. One of its 6 eyes blinked, slow, deliberate, almost curious. Then, impossibly, it lowered itself. Not in submission, in invitation. John didn't understand what happened next. Not fully. Not even hours later when he sat with his back against the beast's flank, its hide warm despite the frozen air. He only knew that some instinct older than fear had told him to reach out and press his palm flat against the plated hide, and the moment he had, a low thrum had passed between them, something that felt less like taming and more like recognition. By the time the search drone found him 3 days later, John was riding the beast bareback across the quarantine zone, and the creature, he'd taken to calling it Ashfong, for the gray scars crossing its snout, was hunting for him, bringing down smaller predators and laying them at his feet like an offering. The drone's camera feed, relayed back to the Meridian's Hope, caused an uproar in the command deck that would be talked about for years. Commander Mia Reyes had not slept in 2 days. As head of Xenobiological Threat Assessment, she'd personally written the report that condemned John to what should have been a death sentence. It was procedure. It was cold math. Expendable assets against an unkillable threat. Someone had to test the waters, and better a convict than a soldier with a family waiting at the next colony. She hadn't expected to feel guilt. She definitely hadn't expected the feed now playing on every monitor in the command deck. A man, alive, riding an apex predator like it was a horse from old Earth vids, laughing, actually laughing, as the creature loped across broken terrain. Replay it, she said, voice flat with disbelief. The tech obeyed. The feed looped again. John, dust-streaked and gaunt from 3 days without rations, sitting atop Ashfang's shoulders as the beast crested a ridge and let out a roar that, this time, sounded almost triumphant. That's not possible, muttered Dr. Okonkwo, the ship's lead xenobiologist. Xenoform 7 has no recorded instances of docility. Not once. Not in 6 years of study. Well, Mia said, it's recorded now. She made her decision in under a minute. A decision that would have gotten her court-martialed if it failed, and immortalized if it didn't. Prep an extraction shuttle. I'm going down there myself. Commander, with respect, if the creature turns, then I'll have my answer about whether this was luck or something else. Mia was already moving toward the launch bay, her sidearms strapped and her jaw set. Move. The shuttle set down half a click from John's position, and Mia crossed the distance on foot, her boots crunching over obsidian gravel, her heart hammering harder than it had during any combat drop in her career. When Ashfang's head swung toward her, all 6 eyes narrowing, every instinct in her body screamed to raise her weapon. She didn't. Easy, John called out, sliding down from the beast's shoulder and stepping between them, one hand raised, not at her, but at Ashfang, a silent command the creature seemed to understand instantly. It settled, though its eyes never left the newcomer. He doesn't like strangers rushing him. Slow's better. Mia stopped 10 meters away, staring at the man she'd signed away for dead. You're supposed to be a corpse. Yeah. John managed a tired grin. Dispatch owes me a refund. How? She said, gesturing helplessly at the towering creature beside him. Is this even? Xenoform 7 has killed 11 trained combat teams. 11, Sergeant. And you just... What? Made friends with it. John looked back at Ashfang, and something passed between the man and the beast that Mia couldn't name, but somehow understood anyway. I think everyone before me came at it like it was a monster to kill. I didn't have a weapon that could hurt it, and I didn't have anything left to protect. So I just didn't fight. Turns out it wasn't looking for a war. It was looking for someone who wouldn't start one. Mia let that settle, the weight of 6 years of failed protocol crumbling under one impossibly simple explanation. The council sent you here to die. I noticed. I signed the order. John's grin faded, just slightly, replaced by something more complicated. I know. Doesn't matter now. He nodded toward Ashfang, who huffed a warm breath in Mia's direction, testing her scent. He's not just tame, Commander. He's smart. Smarter than your files gave him credit for. I think Xenoform 7 might be the reason this planet's other predators never evolved past a certain point. He's not an animal. He's the whole ecosystem's apex, and apex predators protect territory. They don't destroy it for sport. Mia looked past John to the beast, who was watching her now with something that looked disturbingly like patience. If that's true, and he can be reasoned with, then maybe the quarantine zone isn't a death trap, John finished. Maybe it's just been misunderstood. Same as some people. The report Mia filed that night ended 6 years of military doctrine with a single line. Recommend immediate reclassification of Xenoform 7 threat status. Immediate cessation of dispatch protocol. Attached was footage of John standing unarmed beside a 4-meter apex predator, and beside him, unmistakably, was Mia herself, hand extended, and Ashfang's massive head lowering to meet it. Within a month, the quarantine zone was reopened as a research and cohabitation preserve. Within a year, John was no longer listed among the expendables. His name sat instead at the top of a new division, Xenoform Integration Corps, with Mia as his direct commanding officer and, before long, something closer to an equal. They still argued about protocol. Mia believed in caution, John believed in instinct. But when the Council's next impossible crisis came, a swarm, a signal, another creature the old doctrine called unkillable, it was John and Mia, together, who were sent. Not because they were expendable, because for the first time in the colony's history, someone had proven that humanity's greatest weapon was never the rifle. It was the willingness to stop treating every unknown as an enemy, and Ashfang, pacing loyally at John's side, was living proof that even monsters recognized the difference.